Woohoo! Hey, welcome everybody to the PulseX live show. Man, oh man, second to last day in the PulseX Sacrifice. Pretty crazy. Richard Hart's doing a replay with really good audio quality of course, the debate against Peter Schiff. That's on at the moment. We're going to talk about that later in the live stream. Obviously, there's a ton of people watching that at the moment, so big shout out. That's pretty cool. So cool, a really good audio. I watched the first one, had pretty bad audio. So it's good to see Richard posting that. He's also doing it. He's actually chatting in the chat as well. I think it's called the premiere. I've used it once on this channel, so pretty exciting. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, hit the bell, of course. And we're going to get into PulseX. We're going to get into liquid loans. We're going to jump over to the debate, of course, Richard versus gold, and of course we're going to get into a Pulsechain as well. So it's going to be a lot of good stuff here as we go. So pretty cool. Welcome, of course, and I'm going to post the link to the Richard Hart debate later in the evening, so it's going to be good too. All right, so cool. Let's jump over and just see how the audio's going. I think that's going okay. Let me find my audio because I can't actually hear it. Just be back. All right, we're back. Let's just check the audio. Audio is good, so that's nice. All right, let's get into. We've got a poll at the moment, of course. Let's get into the poll. The poll is who won the debate? Peter Schiff versus Richard Hart. We've got Peter won, made more good points than Richard. Draw, both made some good points, so a bit of a mixed bag. Number 3, Richard won, made more good points, and of course the debate was ruined by poor format and audio. Obviously, the audio part's been fixed up with Richard's live stream, so that's pretty nice. Let's get into the chat and see who's in the house at the moment. So definitely fill out that poll as we go. We've got Brazology said Peter won at the ding dang. Yeah, he pretty much that first opening I thought was pretty awesome by Richard. And of course the charts were everything. And this is what I said yesterday. Said all you have to do is show the charts and you show who's won. Now our market's going to go up and down, sure, but Peter is waiting for that big reversal. But we'll talk more about that later on in the live stream. Fish Tank's in house. Limp Peter says Fish Tank. Yeah, I'm going to cover that in quite detail later on. We're going to talk more about that. But just went live, absolutely good quality for sure. Than and Najuan is in the house. Congrats to Richard Hart. Yeah, absolutely. And Morris says great debate. Richard looked cool. Another convert Warren Buffett just invested $1 billion in crypto bank. People can change. Yeah, that's right. And I thought, we're going to talk more about. I'll talk more about that later on because I wanted a few comments about the debate. Sandeep says east or west. Richard Hart is the best. Yeah, nice one there, Sandeep. Big shout out to you. And Hex says hello. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yeah, I love it. It's a good attitude. Folks, let's get into where we're on the PulseX at the moment. And we can see that we're currently on day 58. Can you believe it? We've come so far. And, of course, the sacrifice rate is going to increase by 5% in 19 hours, 56 minutes. This is the second to last day. We have one day and 20 hours left. And it's counting down, folks. So when we do our last live stream on the PulseX Sac tomorrow, we're going to be in the final day, day 59. Can you believe it? Oh, boo, sad. No, that's good. We're going to move on to the next phase, waiting for Pulsechain testnet 3. That's the next step in the process towards mainnet. Very, very cool. So obviously that's going to end at on the 25th at pretty much 00 UTC time. The rate today is 10,000 points. Can you believe it? For $9.43. That's almost 9.5x higher than when we started at $1. That's pretty amazing. And look at our chart. We're near the end now at the moment. Day 58 and, of course, $9.43 on the left-hand side. That is the base points. And, of course, we have a flat rate of 1.75 volume multiplier, which we've had for just over 3 days now. And, of course, that runs for 5 days to the very end. So you get your base points times your volume multiplier, and that will give you your total points at the moment. So cool. All right, so that's the cool stuff there. Obviously, let's jump over to the actual PulseX info site. So this is actually the site if you want to actually do a sacrifice. I do suggest buying some Hex and getting the copy on the blockchain. But if you want to get some PulseX and you're late to the sacrifice phase, then this is the site for you. Basically, if you're going to do Ethereum or any Ethereum compatible sacrifice, you send it to this address, OX075, ends in DDC8. And of course, if you want to do any of these other chains which are non-Ethereum compatible, then Bitcoin Cash, stuff like that, just follow steps 1 to 3 and you'll get an address you can sacrifice to and tag that and all stuff like that. If you're a little nervous, of course, just do a small amount and then do a big amount, and that's the way to go on that one. But it should be perfectly good. All right, let's jump over to PulseX, have a look at the rates. Man, oh man, we are just scrolling down here. We're right at the end here, day 58, $9.43 for 10,000 points. And so $1 now will get you 1,855 points, 1,855. Amazing. So previously that was 10,000. Now it's 1,855. And of course, tomorrow will be the last day, day 59, the 25th, of course, of February. And of course, $9.91 for 10,000 points, or 1,767 for $1 by the time we get till tomorrow. So 18.55 is what you're going to get today, folks, per dollar. So cool. Let us scroll back up here, and of course, we're going to jump over to the Hex price now. That was PulseX. That's the update. So obviously, we've sacrificed in total value about $1.05 billion to $1.1 billion dollars in US dollars sacrificed, and of course, the Origin account holds about 86% of the total supply. Total supply is somewhere around about 122, 123 trillion, something like that. So that's kind of the overall numbers. And of course, the public sacrifice ended up being about 17.2 trillion tokens, and it's to all the individual investors. And so that was pretty outstanding too. So huge results for that. Peter Green says no one won. It's the investment option you prefer, says Peter. That's a nice perspective there, Peter. And what else we got going? Let's jump over to the Hex price. Have a look at that at the moment. So we've got the Hex price at 14.64. We are getting some risk off, folks. And of course, Hex is not immune from the risk off. But here we are at the moment. And of course, with the Russian and Ukrainian issue there going into play, that certainly shook markets around the world. But here at Hex, obviously, we broke down from our triangle support. We had our triangle support that was sitting at 15.5 cents. And we've broken through that. Yesterday we touched 14.2 cents. Our low for today so far is 14.64, which we're at the moment. So we're at the day low at the moment as we speak. And of course, our support line here is around about 12.6 cents. But we have even spiked down as low as 10.7. So that's kind of there. We have got on the log scale. We do have support at 13.5 cents. So it's not inevitable that we'll get down to 12.7, but the fact we broke down through this triangle makes it more likely than not. And of course, we do have that 13.7 on the log scale to give us some support, which is invisible here. You can't see it here. This is a linear chart, but we do have support here at 12.6 cents, which is bouncing off the previous low here. And of course, we could get a good bounce off from there. Now, the other thing, of course, we've got short-term resistance on this line here. So, we need to get above, 14.6 cents, somewhere above here. To 16 cents. So that's kind of a breakout of that. That's bullish too. That will push us up as well. So cool on that. That's kind of where we're there. We are waiting for the big price rise, and it will come. We just don't know when that's going to be. We may have to translate our dates over at the moment. So it could start any day. I expect the first, because we've got 1 day and 20 hours to go until the end of PulseX, which is the purple line. Let me just get rid of the branding there. Let me just get rid of that banner and hide that. Bam, so you can see the full chart there. So yeah, we've got just over a day to go before the end of PulseX Sacrifice, and of course after that we don't know when's Pulsechain coming up. We're going to look at that at the end of the live stream. We're going to look at the Pulsechain timeline. And that's been updated as well, so we'll check all that out. At the moment, this is where we're at the moment, and so we've got support at 13.5 cents and 12.6 cents. We'll see where we go with that, and if the markets do settle down or not. All right, so let's jump over to the DMI down the bottom here, and of course we can see this. We're going to hide that, and that's what we've got at the moment. We've got obviously the selling in control with strong momentum. The momentum has Hex 26. That would typically indicate a momentum trend. So we'll see that is expected to continue. I expect the selling to continue for the next couple of days at least. And of course, we've got the sellers direction down here at a 10. So definitely sellers in control at the moment. As I say, 13.5 to 12.6 cents is kind of the support area. And it's more likely to hit that target than not hit that target, especially in the current climate as well. So that's kind of that. And we'll get a look at the RSI. The RSI is not quite spent yet, so we could actually get down here somewhere around about around about 26, I should say. So we've still got a bit of room. But when we get that rally on, when we get that price on, we've got the whole distance to cover, and that's super bullish, right? So that's a positive thing. So when we do have the selling finish, we will be able to really move up pretty strongly on that rise. So cool. Pulsechain is coming. It's not like it's not coming. It's coming. So that's what we're looking forward to with PulseX as well. So you just have to hold on to your hat at the moment. That we're definitely in a seller's move, and that's pretty obvious. And obviously the geopolitical risks are impacting the markets there. Not just crypto, of course, stocks in particular having pullbacks there as well. So cool. That is, folks, that is the action at the moment. Let's take that off and have a look at the hourly, and we'll jump into there, have a look at that. Let's pull off. I'm pretty sure I had the hourly on there. I'm going to get rid of the overlay and go full screen. So the hourly, that's our hourly chart at the moment. So we do have a little bit of recovery. We went up to about 15.2 cents, and now we're back down to about 14.6 cents at the moment. So that's what's happening there. It is basically risk off, not really do anything to do with Hart's Law. And of course, we know that we've got certain OGs that have stakes out, they sell those and things like that. So we've got to take into effect those factors as well. Risk off is a bigger market phenomenon. And of course, that typically happens when there's geopolitical risk or something like the Fed Reserve doing interest rate rises. So that's a bigger deal than, say, the Hart's Law, which is really just about are you really linked into Ethereum and Bitcoin, which obviously Hex is 85% is not linked. It's based on stable coins, so but different variable there. Let's have a look at the crypto markets. Man, oh man, yesterday when we were doing the live stream, we actually had a nice little recovery. And at the moment, we're getting another pullback in crypto. And as we know, when the prices of crypto go up, they go up nice and strong. When they go down down pretty strong as well. At the moment, down 9.5% on ETH here to a new lower low. There's the 2,380, and Bitcoin is sitting around just under 35,000, down 8%. So the market is lava red at the moment. And of course, Bitcoin has gone down about $9,000 there from when it was just a little wee while ago. So we're going to jump on to Bitcoin and have a quick look at that. It's good to keep up to date with what's going on with the wider crypto market. And although Hart's Law gives us protection versus Ethereum and Bitcoin, like I say, we've got the risk off due to geopolitical risk, and that's a different variable altogether. All right, so let's have a look here. We're going to zoom in on this. I just want to get to the month. I think it's the chart I want. Let's pull that up. Yeah, so we weren't, we were just a little while back, back on the 17th, and we were up at 43,600 here for 44. Yeah, 44. We're basically down $9,000 approximately, and that's in a short space of time, the 16th through to the 23rd. So within a week, folks, down $9,000. That's a major move, as we can all agree. So cool on that. That is what's happening in the crypto markets broadly. And of course, just like the market goes up when geopolitical risks come into play and there's risk off in the markets, you get people selling and they start spiraling out. They jump on each other, and that's what you get. And that's just the way the markets work. All right, so cool. We're going to get on to liquid loans in a second. Let's just go into the chat and see how that's going as well. I've got lost where I was actually because I took my thing off there. Let's go. We've got Hexforce in the house. Hello. Woo-hoo-hoo. Nice, Hexforce. Great to see you in the chat. And Peter says, no one wants the investment option you prefer. Yeah, I think that's where I was up to, actually. Good one, Peter. Hexforce says, Peter said, Bitcoin relies on the next guy buying higher, but isn't that how stocks work too? That's how all markets work there, Peter. Hexforce, I should say. That's how all markets work. That's why I said you just need more buyers than sellers. And so if the price is going down, you got more sellers than buyers. That's just the way it goes. That's true for everything. It's true for gold as well. Yeah. Matt and Barley says, hello everybody, when is the rematch? They basically the host of the show talked about queuing that up, so we're going to get to that debate sooner than later. In any case, Corey says, hello, decided to join you and watch the premiere later. It's much nicer than that live footage. Hey, nice one, Corey. We're not worthy. So great to have you in the chat there. Audio sounds awesome to me. 10,000x better than the debate. Yeah, that's right, Matt. The audio is really crisp and clear. We will survive, says Corey. We will survive, absolutely. I'm going to print more money and buy this dip, says Corey. I like that one. That's pretty good, Corey. Nice one there on that. All right, so that's the results there. Let's get into liquid loans. Obviously, liquid loan sacrifice is on at the moment. And, of course, if you want to get a referral for 5% bonus, click on the referral link there. Now, I have got a video in the video description that shows you how to make that referral qualify. Some people have been a bit confused by it, and I agree with it is confusing. But if you do hit the referral button, I understand, you'll get onto the referral page. You can read all the details about the referral, including the bonuses there. it shows you the bonuses that you're in. If you're a referrer, you get 5%. If you're a referee, you get 5% of your own sacrifice. If you're a referrer, you get 5% of by using a referral link. And then there's a self-referral bonus. If you get over 10 people, there's 10% there. Got some good examples in there as well. All you have to do is hit this join the referral program button. Hit that and say I understand, and then basically hit this MetaMask, put your the wallet you're going to use to sacrifice, and you want to use as your referral, use that wallet. You just connect up, of course. That's going to ask you to open up MetaMask, and you just have to do that, and you just have to open it up. But you've got to get the password right, though, when you put it in there. Test wallet. I misspelled it twice, which is, really cool. Hopefully I haven't got my caps lock on. Maybe that's the issue. No, it's fine in there. It's going to so once you click on that MetaMask, you've signed on with the wallet that you want to use for your sacrifice and your referral. Just click sign, and it's going to open that up. And of course, then it will give you a very good referral code. And that referral code doesn't have your address in it. It's just private. And that's what you can use to, get your 5%. This makes you registered for getting a referral bonus, which means now you can go do your sacrifice. You'll get extra 5% at the end of the sacrifice phase when they just do the distribution file. So that's after 30 days, or in this case, what's it, about 26 days to go or something like that. Cool. That's how easy it is. If you do get some referrals using it, then they will do. You can see that they'll join this ticker here will go up, go 1, 2, etc. as you have people use your referral there. Pretty cool. All right, so let's go to liquid loans totals. Let's have a look at that. Let's refresh. And man, they're doing pretty well. Liquid loans are doing pretty well. $9.7 million US at the moment. That is the total, and 2,795 wallets. Very, very cool. Estimated token supply at the moment is a 214 billion loan tokens. So it's loan. Start of the curve, of course, bond. So don't forget, if we go back to actually we'll stay here. I won't get too distracted. Start of the curve bond in 5 days and 7 hours. So that means there's the first 10 days you get 10,000 loan points per dollar. Obviously, in 5 days and 7 hours, that's going to start rising by 5%. That's the way that goes. Now you can put, if you've done a sacrifice already, you can paste your address into here and show your details. It will show you your points that you've got for your wallet. There's the top 500 sacrifices. We can see that the Magic Carpet Ride team, they are at the top here. So they are doing pretty well. They're also going to sacrifice on the day 10, which is the last day before it starts rising by 5%. So hats off to them. They look like they're going to do their best to try and hold on to #1 spot, unless there's another whale sitting around waiting to jump in on that day 10. They should probably hold that. Pretty cool. Now, obviously, they've sacrificed at the moment. They're estimated at about 31 billion loan tokens. Now, they've also got different wallets for different periods. So they're doing instant wallet. They're doing 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and 24 months delayed. So that's that longer pays better. They're doing that. You can actually, if you jump on the eye for that particular wallet, you can actually see a breakdown. You can see by the dollars there. You can see this last one's got 24. That means that they're not going to get their loan tokens until 24 months later, but they will get a 2.5x bonus on the volume, whereas the rest of these other sacrifices will not get that longer pays better bonus. They've just got 0.00 in the cents mark. The cents mark between 1 cent and 24 cents determines how much delay you're going to get before you get those tokens given to you. And of course, if you do over 24 cents, then it means it's just going to default to 0.00. In other words, you'll get those tokens instantly. If you use the cents is over 24. That's pretty much how that works. So cool. Now, in reality, of course, the delayed stuff is actually going to be given to you instantly, but it's going to be locked in a smart contract as I understand it, and then that will be dripped to you, basically dripped over that 24-month period or 6-month period or however long you delayed. You can actually delay it, any month, period of months. That's just the way the Magic Cup runs team. So we'll keep watching their journey. They're #1 at the moment. So hats off to them. Now we'll jump over to number 50 and see what is on the top 500 here. So this is number 500. So this keeps going up every day. So the first day it was at 1,000, then it went to 1,200. Then I think yesterday it was 1,800. Now it's almost at 2,100 US dollars to get that as well. So that's pretty fascinating. You can see that the points really vary as well, because some of the people sacrifice with some longer pays better bonuses. Some of them don't. They just want the tokens now, so don't get all the bonuses. That's why you see a lot of variability in the benefits there. We click the eye on this number 500 spot. We can see that they've got no longer pays better. They just got earlier pays better and bigger pays better. So you can see longer pays better LBP. They got 0 for that. So They're just getting the first 2 bonuses. There are 3 bonuses, of course. That's how that works. Cool. We can see at the bottom, sacrifice total of US dollars just going up slightly. And of course, today's not finished, so still got some time to go before the day ends, 7 hours or so, until this one here fills up. But they've been just tracking up pretty nicely. And of course, what else? We've got the breakdown here. This is Ethereum at the bottom here. Is almost $8.6 million, and on top of that, they got the Binance Smart Chain 1.2 million as well. So cool on that. We go down to the sacrifice US dollar volume per delayed gratification. So this is the 3rd bonus. Longer pays better. We can see that that's dramatic. It's $2.5 million almost is being delayed. Those loan tokens will not be hitting the market for 24 months, but they'll get a 2.5x bonus or 150% more through that. So pretty big deal. I think this has been pretty successful, this approach. So this is another approach that Richard's used in Sacrifice, but this has been added on similar to the way Hex is delayed gratification. And of course, you would have to outbeat the volume on this, which is 6% per month, and then 12% on the final month there, 24. So that's 250%. Or 150% on top of what you're investing in there. So cool. Obviously, a lot of stuff is up front. People want their tokens straight out of the gate, and of course, they'll be staking those on the or lodging those on the platform when they get them. Number of wallets, of course, we've only got like the Magic Carpet Ride and another big holder there sitting at the top there, and then we have wallets sitting all below that. And I guess under 97 wallets under 25,000. So this is kind of the much here. So not at all on the scale of PulseX, but I think it's going to do pretty well for a pretty good project, which I think fits well into the ecosystem for Hex. So for Pulsechain, I should say, and I think that's pretty good. Next big candle is 2,500. So there's a lot of investors below this number. So this kind of there. What's this one here? 250. Yeah. So 2,500. This kind of what is 2,500 is what I call a decent retail entry. It's kind of a decent one. So we've got 555 wallets that are over basically around the 2,500 mark as well, or just below, down to 1,000. So cool. Almost 200 wallets at just under 5,000, and 100 wallets just under 7.5, and we've got 31 under 10,000, and finally, 97 under 25. So this is where I guess the decent retail money is, and then we've got some bigger fish coming in here as well. So very interesting. Now this is the sacrifice points. Of course, this is earlier pays better. So that's the first component out of the 3, and of course you can see that we're only on this day here, day 5, and of course by the time we get to day 10. That's the last day that you'll get 10,000 points per dollar. Then it's going to keep rising. And remember, it only goes for 30 days, the sacrifice. So it's all over on the 20th of March. And of course, that's probably interesting time. That could be probably the earliest time that, or just before the earliest time I'm expecting Pulsechain to now launch. I think I've got the 24th of March now as the earliest date. And of course, we'll look at that when we get to the Pulsechain timeline. And of course, this is another way of looking at it. So these 2 charts are just different ways of looking at the same thing. But here you got 10,000 points for the first 10 days per dollar, and then it just decreases over time until you get to day 30, and you get 3,768 points or loan tokens per dollar there. Cool, that's how that works. So that is the overview, folks, for liquid loans on there. And once again, if you want to get a referral code for that with a 5% bonus, hit the referral link and follow those instructions I had. I have got a video in the video description that also walks through how to do that, because it was very confusing. And there is cookies as well on the site, so it does pick up your cookies, but I'm not exactly sure how that plays into the referral, if any. I'm pretty sure you have to register your referral. Now, obviously, for a referral bonus to qualify 5%, you need to do $500 minimum sacrifice for that as well. And yeah, so let me know if you are doing it and what strategy, whether you're doing short or long. Just go short or long on the liquid loans there if you're doing any of that. All right, this is the official sacrifice side, of course. And of course, you can see day 5, 7 hours to go until day 6 starts. And of course, you basically have to use stable coins here to do the sacrifice. Don't sacrifice Hex. No. Don't sacrifice just the stable coins. And of course, you must sacrifice from your wallet, and you can either use Ethereum or the Binance Smart Chain. Obviously, Binance Smart Chain is way cheaper to do stuff and so forth. So cool. There are 3 components, of course. Earlier pays better, which basically is that 10,000 points per one. And then on day 11, it's going to start rising by 5%. The second component is bigger pays better, and that's between 1 and 2.5x. So that's going to be determined at the end of the 30 days, and it will rank everybody based on their proportionally based on the US dollar rank. All right, so that won't be known to the end. And then number 3 is the third component, which is longer pays better, and of course that's 6% per month until the last month, 24th month, and then you get 12%, which is a max bonus of 2.5x or 150%. So it's a pretty big deal. And of course, those are the 3 bonuses. That's how you get the most points. The other thing, of course, is that on top of that, you get referrals. So if you get the 5% bonus on a referral, you'll get the extra 5% bonus, which is pretty nice, right? So that's pretty cool like that. And if you do your referrals yourself, then you're going to get 5%. And if you get over 10 referrals, you get 10% of your own sacrifice amount. So there's lots of decent stuff. I like the referral program. It's not too high. It's a win-win for everybody. And it's probably just about right there. And of course, remember, Hex had a referral program too back during the AA lobby as well. All right, so cool. Let us have a look here. Don't forget that you've got to do your cents. If you do $10,000 sacrifice and you want to do delay your for that third benefit for 24 months, then you put 24 cents on it. Your cents decides how long you want those delayed gratification before you get those loan tokens. So if you want to do 12 months, you go 10,012 cents. If you want to do 6 months, 10,006 cents, and you won't get those tokens until 6 months after liquid loans launches. So just be careful about that. Now, if you put 10,075 cents in it, it's just going to default to 00. Anything over 24 cents will just default to 00, which means that you'll get the loan tokens instantly when loans launches. Now, don't forget, we're expecting the liquid loans to launch maybe a month after Pulsechain launches. So that's still, like, so if we think that Pulsechain is going to launch at the end of March, for example, that would be a month after that. So the end of April is when it was most likely launched, because they have to do audits, of course. They are forking liquidity on their ETH chain, but they have to do audits, and they also have to be able to pull the Pulse price once the Pulse price is up and running, which is actually a good thing, because that by that time Pulse price would have settled down a bit, and if it has bottomed out, if there's been a pullback, then it's probably the best time to buy Pulse as well. So that could be a win-win, right? Because then you go and collateralize your Pulse, borrow some USDL if you're going to use the haunted strategy, and go buy some more Pulse at the cheapest price if it's at a nice little pullback, and then you obviously ride the long game up the other side. So cool. That's how that works. Of course, you can do multiple sacrifices. It's just going to add those up for you, depending on when you did them. And that's pretty much it. This is the official address, of course, for the sacrifice. Remember, the ETH chain or the Binance Smart Chain, use stable coins, OX2E9, and of course 948C9. And of course, you should use your referral account so that you get your the one that you've used for your referral account to load up your sacrifice there. Now, there's a video, of course, of the official launch, and of course that just confirms the ETH address there. But of course, if we go to the blockchain on ETH or Binance BSC scan, you can see the address there live. And of course, you can just refresh there, and you can actually see the amounts that are in there, obviously like that. So we can just hit this view, expand the ERC20 token holding, and we can see the breakdown. Some people did make the mistake of sending some Hex at the beginning. Actually, more people have made the same mistake. So there was 20,000 Hex or something. Now it's up to 56,000 Hex. Don't send Hex. They don't want Hex. They want stable coins. So USDC, DAI, Tether, BSD, and True. That's what they want. So don't send them other stuff. It looks like they've got some Ethereum in there as well. They are after stable coins. So cool. Obviously, they're going to do the best to honor those rather than send them back. They may just honor them, but they don't want them. So, it's best not to send that at the moment. So there we are. That is the core. But that's just on ETH chain, of course, and they also on Binance Smart Chain. All we have to do is hit this tab up here, and it will take us to the Binance Smart Chain. We'll just check that. Bam. And of course, they've got almost 1.2 million now on that. So cool. Don't know why I hit that one, but we're going to expand that view too. So this is the Binance Smart Chain. Obviously, they've got BUSD, USD, DAI, and that's what they've got broken down there in the liquid loan sacrifice so far. Pretty amazing. Now, day 10, of course, is what we expect to be the big one because the base, the first component, earlier pays better, starts rising then. Let me just come miles away from where I should be there. So day 10, we scroll down to the bottom here. Day 10 is when this day here is when we expected to really what's that day is that that's the 28th of February where it's the last day of getting the best rate from the 1st of March. It's going to climb by 5% up into the end there, so that is going to be a big candle. We expect to see a big sacrifice on that final day, and we'll see what happens to the top list here and see whether I'm on the wrong page, but let's see what happens to this leaders board here. for the top 500. You can see the top leaders there, top 10, $100,000 will get you into the top 10 there at the moment. So that gives you an idea. And we've got 2 accounts that are over $1 million so far. And of course, the Magic Carpet Ride leading there. So pretty cool on the results. Nice. Now, I think that was it on there. So that's it, folks, for the liquid loans. Very, very cool. We're going to get up to the Richard Hart debate now, because that's what's happening. Sophia says, unbiased, RH1, says Sophia. And Brazil says, the great thing about gold is there is 15% to buy it and 15% a fee to sell it. Says Brazil, that's true. You also got to store the damn thing. Corey Klein says, support the channel and smash the like, absolutely. And Fish Tank says, if you absolutely had to make a guess for fun, do you think PulseX will open at 0001 or higher? Hey, I can see that, Fish Tank. I can see that happening. We just don't know where it's going to settle. I imagine it's going to settle lower than that, is my guess, Fish Tank. Yeah, it's definitely, I'm going to have I'd actually do a video on that. I'm going to have to think about that a little bit more. And it will be speculative, of course, because we're all trying to make speculative guesses. But that's pretty much it. Sinful Believer says, I'm not worried about RH debate. I'm worried about the Russian attack, says Sinful. I wouldn't be too worried about that. I'm not too worried about it, but it will have a geopolitical impact. It's not going to cause, World War III or anything. But it certainly is, it is a geopolitical issue that is a real thing affecting people's real lives there. And, of course, lots of sanctions have gone on. And, of course, the pipeline there is the Gazprom pipeline. I think it's been frozen as well, which is a bit weird, right? Because that's where you're getting all your gas from. So this is the old bad management from the leaders there in the European Union. Nothing new for us who know how crazy those people are, really. So cool. This is Richard Hart's debate. I don't know if it's fully over yet. Let me just refresh it and see it on here. Yeah, so this is kind of towards the end here of the debate, and of course it gets pretty cool back and forth. I love it. Now, the couple of things I want to say about the actual format was the fact that it's over 2,000 people watching this at the moment. But the thing is, I want to say was I thought that Richard was dressed really well. He was prepared with the right thing, the charts. That's what you want. You want the charts. Put up the charts. I love it. And of course, the third thing was I thought Richard was so professional and so calm and cool and calm and collected. It was really good. So I thought from that point of view, it was really good. Now, Peter Schiff. I really like Peter. I don't agree with some of the stuff he has to say, but I actually like the fact that he's just a go-getter. He will stand up and he's like a pit bull. He will stay in the game, just like Richard stays in the game. And I like that. So I thought it was a beautiful matchup from that point of view. And obviously, I've always had on Peter Schiff on about the fact that he's going to eventually be right. When the world has a major financial meltdown, and of course it will probably be bigger than the Great Depression, he'll be right at that time. He'll be right. And that's when he will be right. And of course, we could all say that, right? We could all say that eventually if there is a major crypto meltdown, because they've just stuffed up so much borrowing, so much debt, so much money printing, all that sort of stuff, that you could have that scenario play out. And then he'll probably be right? So it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. Otherwise, he's wrong most of the rest of the time. He's wrong. And that's like kind of where I feel about that. The other thing, of course, is obviously crypto is the future. Digital currency is the future. Adoption is start every time we have a new bull run. Adoption gets bigger and bigger in crypto. So from that point of view, he said people aren't really adopting. Obviously, Bitcoin is the case, but there are some really good cryptos. You hear me on this channel, I always say, yes, there might be, 10, 20, 30,000, was actually, 20, 30,000 crypto projects and more all the time. But the fact is, I've always said there's only a certain amount at the top in gold standard. And I always say that there's probably maybe 100-200 projects that are actually good DeFi, that are actually good cryptos. And so I've always said that. So that's where I agree on that part. The other side, of course, is the fact that, the charts speak for themselves, right? All the charts look better and better and better. So we're going to have a look at that right now because it's just clear as day. So let me just refresh this here. We're going to refresh this on TradingView, and we're going to look at the gold price here. So this is the gold chart, and we're going to go for, let's look at all time. We can see this is the all-time chart, at least back to 1834 or something like that. So that's all the gold chart there. And of course, you can see that really started to move from March 71 here. It started to really rise up here. And of course, back in 1980, for those that remember 1980, it peaked up here with one spike at $875, but the caps here are at $723. And of course, look at it. After this huge run up, you are going to expect a huge pullback. And of course, you did get that from there. You got, if we include the spike, we did get a big pullback down to about 67%. So after the big run up, it did have a big pullback. And of course, then it's just a doodle around there for ages and ages and ages. So let's have a look at how long that's been mucking around since the low. And it's been pretty much mucking around for 6,910 days. So that's pretty crazy, right? 1982 to 2001. That's a long time. That's 19 years. 19 years to wait for a price rise. 19 years. What could you do in 19 years? Well, you could be 20 and then you could be 40. That's what you could be doing all that time while you're waiting around for gold to really do something special. Otherwise, it stays in this the range here. We got to 500 and the bottom here was 300. So, and this is not adjusting for inflation. This is just the nominal price, what we call the nominal price. This is not the real price. This is the nominal price. The real price is even worse, right? When you take in inflation, it's dreadful, right? And that's what the chart Richard was holding up was all about that. So pretty cool. Obviously, then it had a nice little run up, but the run up is over such a long period of time. The run ups are over such a long period of time. It is insano in the braino. So here it is, 2001, and of course you had a run up all the way up to 2011, and then you saw a nice 658% return, which is pretty good if you bought at that time, right? That's pretty good over 11 years, 12 years. But once again, what's that, about 10? So that's about 65%, maybe 60% return on average each year. So that's when you would have actually done okay. Obviously, then after that, it pulls back. Gold pulls back 46% there, and that's over 5 years. So it pulls back over 5 years, 46. That's a long time, right? 5 years is a long time. And then, of course, then it has a nice little rally again. If you bought at the bottom, you're okay. You're doing pretty well. You got 95%, but that's over 4 or 5 years. 95% over 4 or 5 years. So, that's like 20% per year, which is better than most markets, but that's nothing compared to crypto, right? And obviously, they've had a little dip back down to 1686. And at the moment, obviously, with the geopolitical risk with Russia and Ukraine, it's up to 1938. So the all-time high, of course, is 20,075. And, it's what way it looks at the moment. Now, if you look at the from 2001, it does look like it's on a nice uptrend, but of course, it's not adjusting for real inflation. So there it is making new high, though, with the increasing geopolitical risk. And we are in a good situation for gold. At the moment, in my view, with the Fed Reserve, with the money printing, with the debt, we are in a good situation for gold. But once again, and the geopolitical risk, but once again, this is the relative performance is pretty bad. So let's have a look at relative performance now. And I think we've done a fair cover of gold there. We haven't done inflation, which makes the chart look really bad, but that's probably good enough for the time being. Let us go. I think this is the one I want here, USD. So we'll put the USD set. So let us change the time frame. Obviously, Hex has not been around like gold has for all that period of time. Hundreds of years or whatever. Thousands if you're going to look really far back. But let's just go back now. Let's do 5-year chart. And of course, you can see, look at that percentage. Here's gold down here. Gold is basically like a flat line compared to Hex. And of course, here is Hex up here. Hex is at some stage back in September 21 was almost 1,200% better, 11,700% better than gold. And of course, here at the moment, still up 3,500% better than gold. So let's put in something else. Let's put in Bitcoin, BTC. And of course, this is on nominal values, remember. And let's put in Bitcoin, USD. It's what's that one there? Coinbase. Let's take Coinbase. That's fine. Coinbase in here. So we've got the Bitcoin here. Bitcoin's even better, right? About 300% better, running up, and has been as high as 630% better than gold. So looking pretty good. Let's put one more, Ethereum. Let's put Ethereum in here, and we'll jump back here. What one's that one? Easy markets. Let's go Coinbase again, try and keep it as even as possible. And so here's Ethereum. So Ethereum has been, back in November 21, was 1,867% better, and of course 937% better back here. But look at Hex stands out amongst them. I mean, we all know this, right? But this is what the chart speaks. So while he's been sitting in gold, maybe he's got 5% of his portfolio in gold. He has been, sitting there because the rest of the time he's got his money in stocks, right? He's looking at stocks, and of course he said that he's done well since 2016, but before 2016 he wasn't doing that well, right? So he's had a mixed bag because he's so conservative. He's very conservative, and he's waiting for the big one. He's waiting for the big world global meltdown, and he's been waiting for that for a long time. I've been following Peter Schiff for probably the last, I don't know how long, it just seems forever. And of course, he's waiting for the big one. So eventually he's going to be right. Eventually there's going to be a major meltdown, and that's what he's talking about, right? So he's not talking about price cycles. We're going through boom and bust markets. He's talking about the big correction where the world melts down because there's too much debt, too much money printing, all that stuff like that. So that's what he's waiting for. And one day he will be right. So we'll see how he gets on with that. But at the moment, of course, this is reality, right? So all the way back the last 2 years, this is where you're making money. You're not making money in gold, relatively speaking. You really, at least you've got a bad opportunity cost, right? Or it's a huge opportunity cost is massive. And of course, that nets out as a huge loss if you think about it. The other thing, of course, is that you're missing out on the latest, because digital currency is going to be the future, right? DeFi is going to be the future, and people want to get control themselves. If you've ever dealt with banking, you're sick and tired of it. If you get in trouble with the bank, they'll come after you with knives and forks. It's really pretty bad, right? So you've got lots of different things. You want to get your financial freedom. You want to be able to not be controlled, all that sort of stuff. So it's not going anywhere. It just keeps getting better and better. We're getting better DeFi products all the time. And of course, Hex has opened the gateway to that with a long time. The other thing, of course, that he didn't talk about, because he just bashes crypto generally, he ignored the fact that there's actually proper financial DeFi innovation. And maybe he's put his fog glasses on. He's not actually researching and doing the research properly. And of course, he's just talking about it, in general terms, that he's not actually keeping up to date with all the cool innovations that are happening from a financial point of view in the space. So pretty cool. The other thing, of course, is that he doesn't understand the T-share rate. So he never even brought the T-share rate up. And of course, that is the golden thing inside of Hex, is the T-share rate, because it means that any investor coming in at any point of time is going to have a fair go with the compound interest rate going up over time. Because T-shares disappear, all the Hex OGs disappear. We've seen tons of Hex OGs say goodbye Hex OG, and the share rate keeps going up and to the right. They want to get back in the game. They're going to be penalized massively, right, for their either breaking their early in stakes. They get penalized straight away. And of course, they're going to get penalized again if they want to get back in. They get penalized twice. So that's really cool. In the future, of course, there's going to be way less T-shares. And of course, those smaller accounts that are small today will be big in the future. And so you see how it pays off over time. So it's pretty cool like that. And obviously, the growth of the ecosystems keeps growing. And then, of course, we've got Pulsechain coming up, which means there's going to be zero, pretty cheap fees, not zero, but cheap fees, and a super fast blockchain. It's going to be pretty environment, obviously, with all the other pump members that we always talk about, which leads us in pretty well to the next topic, because, I thought that Richard did a great job in the debate. Let me know on the poll what you think, because it is pretty awesome. And I thought he did a really good job. He looked good. He spoke really well. He kept cool. And, of course, when he had to be a little feisty, when Peter was being feisty, he was feisty. And it made for a really good debate. And it looks like they're going to have a second one based on how the moderator was talking. They were definitely trying to queue up a second one, which would be pretty good. And so hats off to both Peter and Richard. Very cool. But I easily think that Peter was at a great disadvantage, if you ask me. And, of course, Peter's just really arguing about a meltdown, that all the assets will get melted down at the end, and that gold will be the one that survives. And, of course, he sees gold as a currency, as a store of value. And, of course, that's where he thinks is going to be the main play, because traditionally that's where the banks go when the markets completely melt down. You're talking about, all the great pullbacks, 2011, 2008, 1980, was it 1986? I think it was 1987, I should say. 929, all those sort of things, all those big deals. 973. All right, so Corey Kleinsenhouse says, all that time you can keep your gold coins under your pillow. That's the other thing. There's so many practical things, right? So you can't, apart from jewelry, which Richard just said, yeah, there's a use case for jewelry. Otherwise you've got to put where you're going to put your gold in your house, and then you get robbed. Or you're going to pay for a centralized place to store it. Then you don't know whether they're actually going to give it to you under areas of duress. You don't know whether the government will just come to all the gold storage houses and say, we're going to take your gold regardless of who owns it. You've got all those risks to take on. You've also got a payment fees. You've got to pay for your security boxes and all the rest that goes with it. So it's not cheap to hold. So you take the inflation and you take in the the fees to hold that stuff, and it really is expensive. So there's lots of things, and of course transferring, buying and selling it, very hard. I think straight off the bat, Bitcoin's a better thing, and of course Hex is a better Bitcoin, so it's much easier to transfer instantly. You can just transfer out of that. LS says, why be worried about the Russian attack? Be worried about USA and UN agitating them by not following the agreement to expand NATO on the doorstep. Yes, I agree with to some extent that. I think there's a bit of goading back and forth on that, LS. Yeah, I think there's always always two sides of the story there. Tefrin says, woohoo! And Craig Wadding says, woohoo as well. I like the woohoos, folks. That's looking so good. And emojis coming out from Craig looks so good too. Of course, Human Hex Truck says, what up, family? And Dinger Wolf's in the house. Hey, Dinger Wolf, good to see you. And Human Hex Truck says, while in Vegas, buy them drinks. White Russians, the rest will follow. Yeah, that's true. And George Kaza says, Richard, hold back on launching mainnet until after the unfortunate dealings in Ukraine. Hey, George, there's a possible he will wait until April and let the Fed interest rates impact as well. That's also possible, George. So not just the geopolitical risk, but that. But hey, this is the biggest risk. The biggest risk now is actually China following through as well. Now, all of us on my side, we saw this all coming. Okay, there's another stuff happening now as a surprise. And of course, the other side, and you know who the other side is. They are idiots. And of course, we saw it coming because we're on the smart side. Let's put it that way. And of course, there's nothing surprising here. So the other big threat, of course, is China going into Taiwan. And of course, why are you going to do that now? Because you've got the people that aren't that clever running the show at the moment. So this is what's going to happen. So we are expecting this geopolitical risk to climb because the actors will take the opportunity to do so now. And so I'm talking in kind of general terms, but I think you guys know what I'm saying. So yeah, more's coming, and of course we'll be watching that play out in the next year. And it's going to happen pretty fast, to be honest, I think. So you watch out for things like that. It's not over yet as well. Dingo says, Peter protecting his pride and business, so he has his fantasy. That's right. So he basically admitted that he's been getting low returns, relatively speaking. He did okay. 2016 to 21. Obviously, the market's going up, so he's going to do relatively okay, right? It's pretty hard to lose. Obviously, there's better markets, like if you did renewables, that was going to be an obvious one, and of course, if you did a lot of other sectors, I'm not going to go through them all, but you do that, get into those, you're going to do very well as well. So it was pretty hard to not do well when the Dow's going up, to 37,000 or whatever it did. So pretty cool. Corey Klein says second debate in 10 years when Richard will show him. Hey, that's a good point, Corey, but hopefully we'll get a debate before then. It would be nice to have a nice short follow-up, and then they can definitely get together in 10 years for sure. Peter definitely looks young enough to last that time, so it should be fine. Richard's definitely got time on his side, right? So that's pretty cool. So that's some good stuff there. I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to probably watch, try and maybe possibly post it on this channel if I can. It was a pretty good debate, so big shout out there. All right, so this is the end game. Of course, this is coming. Of course, and this is, I don't think Peter did a very good thing on this, because he just doesn't understand a lot of the components, what's actually happening with it. And that's because I just don't think he's doing the research. It's almost blocking himself. He did a couple of quick checks on the price of Hex, a couple of checks on the CD. He treats it like a normal CD. It's not a normal CD. It's a supercharged CD on the blockchain with the share rate. That share rate is king in there, and it makes it a fair playground. The other thing, of course, is we've got this all coming up. Pulsechain, PulseX is going to be, potentially the Ethereum killer. So it's pretty massive, folks. And of course, Pulsechain, our network exchange with PulseX, all amazing tokenomics. You guys know it. The biggest airdrop in crypto history with the PRC 20 copies of your ESC20s. The biggest yield farming in crypto history with the PulseX there. And of course, both those tokens, Pulse and PulseX, total amount given out in sacrifice, and then the fee burn and the magical buy and burn for PulseX just decrease that over time at a huge fast rate, right? So we get $1 billion of volume through PulseX. We've got $600,000 a day magically buying and burning. And of course, that could be done strategically, right? So like the whales do, it could be done like that, or it could be done to create parabolic price rise. Lots of different things there. We've also got a war chest, if you think about it. Obviously, no expectation to work with others. We've got a war chest there. Over $600 million of stables, potential. So there's lots of potential stuff here. And of course, Richard's main goal for 2022 is to build our infrastructure. That's what he said. Main goal for 2022 is to build our infrastructure. And of course, he has a longer roadmap than that. So cool. So we've got the network, we've got the exchange, and of course we've got super fast, super cheap. And of course, we're going to have the other number 5 big fundamental, excluding the US dollar war chest, is the bridge, the fastest way to mass adoption. And that potentially, once all this gets up and running, and when everyone finds out over here, a couple million people potentially find out over here what's going on over here, they're just going to go, oh, wow. Let's all go over here. And then when they get there, they're going to like it so much. Why would I go back? You also own the keys to your coins. It's like a holy grail, right? So Richard has really built out the gold standard, the top of the top of the top of crypto. And if anything was going to be an Ethereum killer, it's going to be a Pulsechain. So pretty cool. Obviously, feet gateways as well. We're seeing a lot of projects come into the place already. We're getting lots of projects coming up, popping up. Now, quite a few of them are doing sacrifices. They're using Richard Hart's approach, especially around the SEC. Just be careful out there. Make sure you do your investment due diligence, because with Richard, we have a certain level of trust and leadership. With these other people, a lot of them are not fully doxed. Some of them are partially doxed. Some of them are not doxed at all. And of course, if you end up sacrificing millions of dollars, you could just end up being scammed. So you need to be very careful out there with all the projects popping up. There are more and more and more, and it's just get started, right? So just be extremely careful. I say to this is the basic strategy. If you want to have the best probability of winning, that's what we're talking about. There's 2 things: probability of winning and timing, right? Those are the 2 things. And of course, Richard talks about timing. It's the amount of time in the market. And of course, Richard also talks about the fact that the probability is really good, and he sets up the tokenomics to make the probability really high. So this is the point. If because all these projects are coming at us, and some of them, more and more of them, are having sacrifices with them, you need to make sure that you're being really clever. And I think the best strategy is the simple strategy. Like Pulsechain is designed to have a lot of projects come over, but it's not designed for you necessarily to have to invest in them, right? So that's the difference. And you need to be smart with your crypto bags and your fiat money. So what I'm saying is this: is that if you stick with the Richard Hart projects, you'll be smiling, right? You'll be smiling. This is where all the big users are. You want big, giant number of users. You don't want small amount of number of users. Not 5,000, not big enough. You want hundreds of thousands, millions of users. This is a picture of that. That's the dream, right? And of course, this also got the growth phenomenon as well. So Pulsechain potentially could have millions of people on it. PulseX could have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of yield farmers on it, and people swapping and trading. This is what you want, right? You don't want the small little tiny project offering you this, right? Now you can take risk on that, but you go up the risk. Right? So your probability gets harder to achieve. So your probability goes down to success. And of course, that's just what you're going to be up against. So be very careful out there. Your best strategy is possibly just to stake your PulseX. And I've heard people say that in the chat, that that's all they're going to do. They're going to get more PulseX volume, do it safely, and then just watch the price go up and to the right, because this is where all the hundreds, if not a few million people, will be jumping onto this chain. And of course, that's what you want to be. So simple strategies, typically the best strategy, and then time in the market is for the big X's. That's pretty much it. So that's my suggestion to you. Obviously not investment advice, but I think there's some just common sense, practical things there to play out. And we're backing in the winner, the genius designer in crypto, which is Richard Hart. So let's enjoy that as we go. Now, Pulsechain's coming. It's not going to be too far away. We've already played out a long time now. So what is it? July. So 6 and 8. So almost 8 months coming up, or maybe it's 7.5 months, something like that. So we're getting there, folks. 7.5 months, and it's once we get to Pulsechain testnet 3, we could probably end up maybe 9 months, up to 9 months, something like that. So it's definitely coming for sure. Very exciting. Now, obviously, liquid loans. I talk about liquid loans a lot because I think it fits well with the ecosystem, because people are it's not gonna provide a place where people can stake basically their PLS. And of course, they can actually borrow against it with the USDL. That's one of the main strategies, not the only strategy, but they'll be able to take that and buy more PulseX. I like that a lot. And of course, it's not going to be launching probably to at least a month after. And of course, that means that the volatility in the Pulse and PulseX will actually have a better idea of where the price is in a more stable way. So I think that's pretty good for that. So that is cool. Let us get on to the timeline. Well, let's check the chat first, because I've probably got a few people in the house there. Michael says Richard should have mentioned the USA digital currency coming soon. Ponzi scheme. Yeah, well, this like US dollar, right? It's a good point though, Michael, with the was it the Fed, wasn't it? It was talking about its digital currency. Jimbo Sticks says, "G'day all. Hex Token, hey Hex Token, RH straight on point and dribble shifted." Yeah, don't be wrong. I like a lot of stuff that Peter says. but he's really calling out, he's a very good technology, but he's really calling out the big day. He's talking about the big doom day. That's really what he's talking about. There's going to be a big doom day coming, and he's going to be right eventually. But, is it 30 years? Is it 20 years? Is it close? I actually think that the market is getting pretty top heavy, but that's different for crypto. Crypto's only halfway on its journey. So we're going to see how that all plays out. Jimbo 6 says the moderator was dead set shocking. Yeah. But, he was a nice guy, but I agree with you. And Taprin says, all right, so Pinch Me says, how far-fetched is it to think that the Western powers want to shift attention from issues like inflation, cost of living, other major issues, and move attention to the international pump? Well, that's what they like to do there, Pinch Me, so distract the people. What else we got there? Jimbo Sticks is in the house. Future gratification, paying your future self. I love it. And big shout out to Matty Allen. He's always talking about that too. And we've got Francia's in the house. Hello. Hey, Francia, good to see you. And Billy Bob's in there too. I think you keep changing your name there, Billy Bob. Yes, stay with the big daddy, Rich Hart, absolutely, 100%. I think that's a smart money. And Dinger Wolf says, Peter, Pumpkin Eater. Says Dinger Wolf. And it's Taffrin says, I stick to the heart. Yeah, that's the way. And Taffrin's got the smiley bags on there as well. So I have seen, we've got, was it Jim, Sam's in the house? That seems a bit far there. Sam says, just catching up, Superman. Hey, Sam, good to see you in the chat. And I love the emojis. They look so good on the chat there. Just looking at the background. Best info on Hex PLX that you will get. A great work, Hex Token. I love catching your streams, mate. Says Jimbo 6. A big shout out to you. I much appreciate that. So here we are, folks. This is an updated timeline. And of course, we had this first yellow line is Pulsechain Testnet 1. And of course, that lasted for 77 days. That's a pretty positive number, 77. Of course, now the second line here in yellow is Pulsechain Testnet 2. So all the stuff in yellow is Pulsechain. So Pulsechain Testnet 2 there is currently running for 74 days. 74 days. We're only 3 days away from catching up to Pulsechain Testnet 1. That's actually gone longer than I expected, but it's been very positive. And so Go.Hex has been working well. We've got ticks. This is the minimum viable product, MVP. And Richard has delivered that exactly how he said it would. Gradual release. Uniswap front end done. Of course, we've tested all these things on this channel. If you want to check out Let's Play Pulsechain Testnet 2 video I've done, I've covered all these on there and a couple other live streams we've done as well. The bridge, of course, is looking smooth. These look so good. And, of course, they have probably just been refining them a little bit here and there. If there's been any little bugs or that they have to work out, that's what happens with Pulse and code. PulseX, of course, working in behind the scenes as well. And, of course, the validators on the Pulsechain have been going really well. And Richard's had good reports about that. And, of course, we know there's 28 validators there at the moment on the Pulsechain testnet. There's going to be 33 of those when Pulsechain goes live. And, man, people will be jumping over themselves to get into that to be able to earn the revenue from that as well. I expect to see some amazing turnover on Pulsechain testnet. I think that we could get to 6 to 10 million transactions per day, in my view. And, of course, here is some of the basis for that. We've got about 1.3 million on Ethereum. We've got about 3 to 4 million on Polygon Matic. We've got about 6 million on BSC from any point in time. And, of course, there's many other chains. And I think that because we're going to have domination, I'm feeling very confident with to easily say 6 to 10 million on the chain. I think it's going to be crazy with all the best tokenomics, with the best incentives. I think it's going to be amazing to see it, man. And it's going to spread like wildfires, I always say, like in a dry wheat field. So the word's going to spread about having your airdrop of your ERC20 as PRC20s, being able to get incentives in the pool, and of course deflationary tokens and just superior tokenomics all around. And of course, even the inflationary token is going to, the incentive token, I should say, is going to be deflationary. So its inflation will be deflationary, and that's going to be positive too. So looking good there. All right, so that there is what's happening there. We've got a question mark about when that's going to finish, of course, and so we're waiting to hear something about that. I do suspect we'll get something after PulseX finishes. So if PulseX finishes not today, what's today? Friday. So PulseX will finish on Friday. We could hear something over the weekend, I'm sure, or at the end of PulseX, possibly around Pulsechain Testnet 3. That's seems like a pretty good time to me. I've got a bit of a gap here of about a week or whatever it is, 6 days between the two. And of course, Pulsechain Testnet 3 running for 2 weeks. That's Richard said short. So, 2 weeks is like 20% of the time period of what these other testnets have run. 20% would be short in my view. Of course, it could go for 3 weeks, but I've got 2 weeks at the moment. And of course, a week after that would give a bit of time further with the snapshot. So I've got the earliest date now. I think this date is at the 24th of the month. So let me just double check that on my calendar there. Yeah, the 24th of March is the earliest date that I have the launch of Pulsechain mainnet and yield farming as the earliest date. That's the key phrase there as well. And then you can see that on the chart. So it's those are the underlying rationale for that. Obviously, doing very well on the Pulsechain testnet 2. Pulsechain testnet 3, when it does start, we're expecting, of course, the AIM bot to run and Pulse Incentive DAO. We know that the AIM bot has been tested on private networks. So that's been tested and printing tokens and things like that. And of course, the PulseX Incentive DAO, we know that there's two coders working on that as well. So that's cool. And that's the first thing that Richard's prioritized, and then AIM bot second. Obviously, the AIM bot, they're both very important components to tick off there as well. So that's it, folks, on the yellow. You can see that also the fiat on-ramp is in play as well, which is going to be super, super good. And you can see the fiat on-ramp coming in here. That's going to make it amazing, because that means people, instead of having to take your funds through the bridge, out through Ethereum and then onto centralized exchange, then onto a fiat gateway somewhere else like that, off, you can just take it straight off the Pulse chain into the fiat world. And that's going to be super. Instead of doing 8 transactions, you're going to just be able to do 1. It's going to be pretty amazing, maybe 2 at tops. So I think that's pretty exciting to see that play out. Now, the timing of that, of course, we imagine it's going to be pretty close, possibly after the Pulse chain launches. Remember, there's going to be a day or 2 for ratio trading, and then the bridge is going to open up, and that's when the floodgate comes in. Everybody that sacrificed it now is basically Genesis holders, and then typically when hundreds of thousands, if not a couple million people come over in the future there, the demand for the sacrifice of our Genesis holding tokens is going to be crazy. It's going to be really fun to see that play out over time. Now, I expect some of the people already, some of the big whales already holding a lot of tokens will take the opportunity to buy up heaps more. So if the price does have a strong pullback, I'm sure some of the whales will be looking to pick up a whole ton of bags, taking it off the market, and that will reduce the supply dramatically. Cool. All right. So that's the timeline there. Obviously, PulseX, we're in the last 1 day and 19 hours. It's counting down. Tomorrow when we do the final live stream for PulseX Sacrifice, it's going to be the last day. So that's going to be it. We're right at the end here of the PulseX Sacrifice phase in red. And of course, all these things have happened here. Nice. Hex Scale, of course, we're waiting for that to come up. And of course, particularly with the Hex Investment Trust, the Mountain Crypto Advisors is already up and running. And of course, have got clients, already onboarded clients. And of course, the investment, Hex Investment, or Hex Scale, as we call it, is coming up. And we're waiting for Kinetics to give us a bit more insight into that. They were up to the final thing, of course, the PPA, so the kind of the investment brochure for investors, and of course, onboarding that as well. Now, back in November last year, Kinetics was talking about them having access to a network of $1 billion. In other words, people invested that sort of stuff, and they have access to the brokers and stuff like that in there. And so they were pretty confident they would reach their private targets. Obviously, the market climate's changed a bit. We've got the geopolitical risk and a few other things going on. So it'd be interesting to see how that's changed the tone at the time. But definitely looking very positive. And of course, Hex Scale's looking to buy Hex and stake at 5555. And it's going to be a continual buyer. That's the goal of that investment fund. So that's the big deal. Waiting to see that place. It's going to be a private one, of course, and then a public one looking to go launch live, maybe on NASDAQ or something like that. So that means it's going to allow IRAs and other big money, institutional money, to go in and invest to that, because they're not investing it directly into crypto, but into a holding company that you can trade in and out of via shares. So that's pretty acceptable there. Funding Gym, of course, do a big shout out to Funding Gym. Big shout out, of course, big organizer of behind the Twitter room spaces. And obviously we had the big event today with Peter Schiff and Richard Hart, as we've talked about. And of course, that's been running for pretty much 96 hours. And apparently Kiyosaki's in there. I'm not sure if Kiyosaki has been in. I haven't been able to listen to everything on there, but also large influencers. So big shout out to Funding Gym. If you do see Funding Gym's YouTube channel or on Twitter, give him a big shout out and say thanks for what he does, because he really is a superstar in the community. And he's obviously called our billion liaison, because he is talking to people over $20 million and all the way up to billionaires. And he's doing an amazing job onboarding those people and educating them around about Hex, Pulsechain, and PulseX. So it's pretty cool. We've also got this unknown private investor vehicle Richard talked about on the 10th of January. So they're doing something as well. So we're sort of looking for that. So that's all the big money expected to come in, and much more on that, of course, in the future. And of course, we've already got our existing whales, like Overwatch, I guess three arrows if you like them enough. And of course, the Hex Gold Whale, many others in the play as well. Cool. That's pretty much the highlights there. Of course, Daytona, we had that. I enjoyed it for what it was. And of course, we're coming up into March. We've got Hexpo in Vegas. Man, oh man, that looks so good, run by Matty Allen, coming in 6th to 9th of March. And of course, 600 Hexagon's going to be, that's going to be mad. It looks fantastic. And of course, they're going to have lots of red carpet stuff there with a lot of people. So I think that's going to be awesome. I think it's about twice the size, if not slightly more bigger than 2021's one. So I thought that was pretty good. Given how Hexpo was run, online conference was run, which was excellent. This should be absolutely a huge party. So a big shout out to everybody that's going there as well. So you're going to have a blast, and the rest of us will be jealous. We'll be jealous here as you do your big Hex flex there. It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. All right, so cool. Let us jump away. That is the highlights there, folks. We're up to 1 hour and 5 minutes. I did pretty good timing, I thought. But you know, Richard Hart's, I'm not sure if this is still going. Is it finished? Maybe it's finished now. Yeah, down to 400. Is it finished there? Yeah, so that's finished. So you definitely, I might post this on the channel. Maybe we'll see how we get on with that. But pretty cool. So big hats off to Richard, man. It was a good form. Look how dapper he's dressed as well. I love it. And of course, that Hex brace, was it necklace that it was made from, looks amazing. That and if you haven't seen the video of how that was made, that's really intense. So definitely watch that on YouTube for sure. All right, let's get into the chat there. We've got a few. Roth goes in, says total domination, absolutely. Astrid says woo 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 woo, and Dingo's got the aliens in the house. Nice one. Rothko says great job documenting the day today. Says Rothko, I appreciate that, and it is a lot of fun for sure. Jimbo Stick says it's gone pretty quick since my PLS sacrifice, only because it's getting close. It is getting close. We have, like I say, I think we're about 7.5 months through. Maybe it's going to be about 9 months by the time it launches. That's not too bad. Remember, Hex was over a year. We waited for Hex, and Hex was, man, oh man, you had to have patience back then because there was so much rubbish projects around. Yeah, so it was good when Hex came along. Benny says, cheap Hex. Yeah, absolutely. Man, you're going to get a copy as Overwatch said. Let's go to Overwatch said, basically, which is the biggest whale on PulseX said. People are insane selling it now. And, of course, they're going to miss out. And, of course, there's going to be a double for, you know, you're getting double copy as PRC20s on the Pulsechain. Yeah, if you listen to the whales say that you're not selling at that time, then it really is going to be crazy. Billy Bob says 8% for Mountain Crypto Advisors fee is way too high. Yeah, so Billy Bob, Mountain Crypto Advisors fee, really, I think that probably is because you know, you're getting up into the big money now. I think like if you, not sure what their limit is, but if you're up like $1 million, that's when you're going to get into that sort of fee stuff there. So a lot of people, if they're not had a lot of wealth and they're just starting to get into those advisors things to set up your tax and all the benefits that go with that, then you're not going to be used to that sort of fee. So just take that into account when thinking about that. Benny Blanco says buying up the fear, says Benny. Absolutely. Let's jump over to the Hex price. Bam. And of course, we just had a bit of a sell-off there. Woo! Someone's come in and sold off. That's an OG there. Man, oh man, they've actually pushed us down already into the price zone there. Let's get out of there and have a look at the trade. We just got some big selling in there. Where we're sitting at 14 cents. Must have it sold back here earlier. I'm just trying to remember where we were selling at that time. Oh, yes, we had a big run. Oh, big run. Okay, so 14.9. This is where I think we were at the beginning of the live stream. And, of course, we had a big string here of sellers coming in here. Man, that's a big run of sellers there. And then, of course, we had another second round here of sellers all taking us down. We had some buyers coming in. And then another string of sellers there. Let's go to the whale bot there, and well, let's jump into that. And of course, yeah, so 5.7 million. There's 27 minutes ago. 5.7 million sold 27 minutes ago, and that is really what looks like what pushed us down there. And I'm not sure how this was done through from this wallet. Let me just double check how much they've got. US 1.27. Don't think they've got any more Hex left. So it looks like they've completely sold the Hex out and they've cashed up. That looks like what they've done there as well. I think that's the right account. All right, so there we are, folks. So someone just pushed the chart down. Let's have a look at the Hex chart there. I'm going to pull it on the daily. And let's scroll it up and go full screen on that. We're going to overlay. Let's put the overlay on there. And yeah, so we've hit, this is the logarithmic scale. So we've hit the logarithmic scale. Did I actually save that? Not sure if I've saved that on here. No, I haven't saved the log chart on there. Let me just think about what that is. Is that Hex.vision? Hex.vision. The one. Let me just double check. I've got to pull up this log chart. Let me just remember what it is. It's not Hex.vision. Uniswap Hex.vision. Uniswap, there's one. So we're going to put that in again. Uniswap.hex.vision. Bam. I'll pull it up. This is going to give us the log scale. So this is the log scale chart, and we haven't hit our support line, which is 13 cents or so, but we are testing that. I've got the support one, and support 2 here was my 11.5 to 12 cents mark here. That was at the very bottom. So this is where we're at the moment on the log scale. So still on the uptrend, still holding on to the uptrend, just holding on, but we've got a little bit of room left before it could bounce off there as well. So that is the log chart. That's the all-time low from the 5th of January 2020, and this is the all-time high from the 10th of September at 52 cents. And of course, this is us pulling back here. So we're on the log scale at the bottom right, and you can see where our chart is. So this other chart, of course, is the linear chart. This is good for short term, just shows the nominal price movements. And of course, there we are. So our support line, folks, is down here at this 12.6 mark at the moment. So cool. And if we want to take the very bottom spikes of that, then we're at 11.5 cents or so, somewhere around that mark. So that's where we're at the moment. So we'll see. We've got this is going to be. We knew this was going to probably be the most sensitive area as we come to the end of PulseX and have to move through that. So it's going to be fascinating to see the next few days. But man, it's a steal to pick up Hex. So I know what I'll be doing shortly. Is picking up some more Hex. So there we are. That's a plan for me after the live stream. Crypto actually is Hex is dying, bro. It says Chris H. And zoom out says Rothko. And Omcron says Russia attacked the Ukraine and the markets are tanking. And Russia did not attack today. And since it says not sure enough small, I don't think that's the case. Let's jump over to investing.com. And they had what they had taken is they'd had did so-called peace initiatives into thing, but looks maybe they have gone for the full invasion. Let's have a look here. We've got the commodities there. I'm just going to go into, let's jump into that part. Global stocks and US bonds dived on Thursday while the dollar gold rushed as troops landed in Ukrainian cities on the Black Sea, and Ukraine said Moscow had launched a full-scale invasion. All right, so Ukraine said that Moscow had launched a full invasion. Russian troops landed in the Ukraine Black Sea port of Odessa and Mariupol in the eastern Ukrainian region of Donetsk. And of course, at the same time, Ukrainian military command centers in the cities of Kiev and Kharkiv came under attack by missile strikes. Ukraine Senator Pradenis called the site Ukrainian Interior Minister. The attacks came just after a blistering warning from Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday. Putin called on Ukrainian soldiers to immediately lay down their weapons and go home, and said the responsibility for any bloodshed will be on the conscience of the Ukrainian regime. So already speaking that out. Several explosions were heard in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, really, before dawn, after an initial series of sounds. And what else we got going? Comments worsened. Sell-off. The market was always trying to judge if they would stop Donbass, and it looks pretty clear that they are moving towards Kiev, which was always one of the worst case scenarios, because we know now have a long night ahead of us trying to understand how bad this gets and what sanctions get put up, because there has to be fresh round of sanctions now against Putin and the Russian government, says Chris Weston. Pipstone, that's where the worst case or bear case scenario is for markets, and that's what we're seeing. There are no buyers here for risk, and that's why I was talking about earlier in the live stream about people risk off, and it's different from Hart's law. So risk off is a bigger macro picture. People just risk off the investments, and so you're going to see Hex OG selling into USD, and that's what we're seeing at the moment. There's a lot of sellers out there, so this market can get hit very hard. That's true. All right, so what else we got going on there? So looks like they have made some invasions. Now, I understood that originally that they had moved into two areas, the Russian-backed areas, for peacekeeping, but it looks like they may have now moved into more of an invasion standing rather than just going into those two zones. So interesting stuff there. Let's see what we've got. Any forward markets on there? No, they're all markets are closed. The USD 30, which are the forward markets, they're all open, and they're all down 2% there on that one. What are commodities there? Oil is up at $96, $98, and all the metals are going. Gold is up at $9.42. So Peter's going to get his best returns right now. So enjoy them, Peter Schiff, while you can. And then, of course, we've got the stocks that are all closed. All these markets are closed, not open at the moment. They're all red at the moment. So cool. All right. So let's jump out of that. And yeah, there we are. All right. We're going to have to wait for that to play out now. This is the way it's going to be. So Chris said, shouldn't crypto be rallying? Well, sometimes it does. So sometimes when the pullback happens, we see the market actually do a bit of a comeback. And let's go back to the full stuff here. So we've got the markets at the moment doing this pullback already. So hey, they might just do that. So we'll see. But it depends on how the crypto investors react. Crypto investors going to react the same way. And of course, the big money, the big institutions, they're the ones that you have to worry about, because the big institution investing in crypto are going to act similar to the way they act in stocks. So they're the ones going to be selling down their positions, right? Not the retail crypto hardcores. A lot of them won't. Obviously, some of the big accounts will. If they see the rest of the investor class start selling them down that are trading stocks, then they'll start following suit. That's kind of what you see. That's why you see such big moves down. Chris says the gold rally, but not crypto. That sucks. Did attack Ukraine, reported bomb attacks, multiple places already, and Moscow suspended trading. Yeah, so I guess that they're doing bomb attacks is one thing. Of course, they've got all those rocket tanks that they fire over with all those rockets. So we'll see whether they actually use those. Moscow suspended trading, says Corey, and Fishy Tank says, I see joggers live in the Kiev Ukraine webcam. Yeah, so it's probably it's always trying to get the right information out, but definitely there seems to be definitely some movements going on with the military. Jim Stick says, what's happening across our realm? RH projects might just save another people. Fingers crossed. And anything on mainstream flip narrative, and you're right track. Yeah. Francesca says, hello. And Fish Tank says, go USDC. And Corey says, air raid sirens in Kiev, says Corey. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised about that. It's pretty terrifying to have air raids. I know that I had a brother in Kuwait when the Kuwait war was on, had the Scud missiles being sent over. That's certainly it was quite particularly sensitive to that, but that would be a bit scary having the Scud. You just don't know where they're going to hit. So he was certainly a bit traumatized by the Scud missiles there in Kuwait back in the day. So I imagine having especially with those rocket tanks, and the Russians have got those multiple rocket projectors. They'd be pretty scary if those were coming in. Obviously, I'm not sure the distance of those because they actually have to move into the interior. But yeah, that's the way it goes. Let us go. We're going to pull up Fox News. See if Fox News got anything. Biden responds to Poland's chilling threat not to intervene as Kremlin drops its act, declares war. So explosions echo in Kiev during the Fox News report. So there's some explosions in there as well. And Biden unleashes punishments on Putin. It's a bit late for that. But Rubio laments that Russia's war has come for the Ukrainians. It will be ugly. Dem says that seeds of Putin's war on Ukraine were sown by a weak Obama, and a few other things in there. So that's from them. Well, I don't know. This person has a Ukrainian member of parliament. This could finish with World War III. I don't think that's going to happen at all. But it's pretty impressive. This is a total declaration of war. So you've got some other stuff in there. Steve, here's explosions. Sees orange glow in Ukraine. I'm not sure if that's actually live. So we'll just see whether that's actually live.
Joining me now from Kiev is Steve Herrick. Communications forces into the east, and now this capital city is being hit. And how far is it going to go? Are we going to see ground troops after this? We've heard reports from the U.S. that Russia has targeted.
Yeah, so it looks like there has been some explosions in the capital. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out over the next 24 hours. That's for sure. All right. Well, we wish the prayers out for the people in Ukraine there. It's going to be a pretty scary time when it happens. All right, cool. Let us jump back over to the price here. Hex is holding up at 13.6 cents. Let me know in the chat. We got Corey says, I'm going to dig up some money and buy the dips, says Corey. Me too. I'm with you on that one. Fish Tank says that the live cam in Kiev has audio. Haven't heard that. And Chris H says they shot a few beavers. And probably looks like the main buildings were still up there. Time for Richard to open up Pulsechain, bro, says Chris H. I'm sure it's coming. It's coming down the line. So it will have to be ready in good time. You have to have the software all 100% before it gets launched there. So very cool. I think that's probably it at this stage. Let's jump around there. So, hey, by tomorrow, we should have good coverage. We should know exactly where we're at with the Ukraine and the invasion there. And of course have more full information hopefully by then, and we'll see how we get on. Tomorrow is going to be the last day of PulseX Sacrifice. That's going to be a pretty big day for our point of view. And of course, what's the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, so we're going to have another couple of days of pulse of liquid loan, sacrificing going through before it starts rising by 5. So by the end of February 28th, that's the last day before it starts going up by 5% on liquid loans. So cool. All right, hope you've enjoyed this one. This is we're up to an hour and 20, which is typically my coverage. And of course, I'm going to go to get in and buy me some Hex soon. Yeah, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. A big shout out, of course, to Richard Hart, the Lionheart, as we like to say. Richard Hart, the Lionheart. Man, oh man, was that cool? I thought that was pretty cool. I'm going to probably watch bits and pieces of it again, and it should be a lot of fun. All right, everybody, subscribe, like, share, hit the bell. And don't forget to, if you want to become a member of the channel, hit the join button. We've got Pulseskins, Hexskins, and the Richard Hart Club. Definitely get into that. And of course, you want to pick up your 5% liquid loans referral bonus. Get into that. I've also got a video in there showing you how to register that referral link as well and get that 5%. So very, very cool. Thanks to everybody else, and I will catch you all to the Hex Token channel members. Big hats off to you all, and subscribers, big one. We're going to have a lot of fun when Pulsechain comes, and of course, we've obviously got a lot of geopolitical issues at the moment. We're going to have to ride through those as well. All right, take care now, and I will catch you tomorrow. Bye for now. I've got a few comments in the chat here, so I've got to read those first. You know me, you got to read the comments, right? Who cares if it's not finished? It's Chris H. And Hex the Stash Percent Token Bro, big ups. Hey, you're welcome. And let's go Hexkins, absolutely. So just hold the line is what I would say. Thank you, Hexman says A1, you're welcome. And Francia says hi, hey Francia, good to see you in the chat again. Let me just sign off here with the old sign off. Thanks for watching. Yeah, all right. Let's cross that. We're going to post an emoji. If you're a Hex Token channel member, smash those emojis in the chat on the way out because they look so damn cool. Let's have a look. Got some of those. Bam. Bam. All right. Nice. Hey, let's finish the poll. I just realized I haven't finished the poll. We've got 81 votes in the poll. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Nice. Let's end the poll there. I almost forgot I had the poll. Isn't that terrible? I got distracted with the old Ukraine thing there. Simple Believer says, stay positive, guys. Absolutely stay positive. It's a really good thing to finish up on there. Well said, Simple Believer. And, of course, we've got our poll coming up, folks. Let's have a look. So who won the debate? Peter Schiff versus Richard Hart. Richard won, made more good points, 67%. So that was 2/3 of people. So that's really cool out of 81 votes. Draw both made some good points. That was 13%. So big shout out there. Debate ruined for a poor format audio, 11%. And we got 7%. Peter won, made more good points. So big shout out for that vote. Interesting there. But it looks like Richard carried the day definitely from this audience. So big shout out. All right. Bye for now. Take care. I'm going to get some dinner and get some Hex. How about that? All right. Bye for now.